Welcome to today's Explainer. So if you're gearing up for the AB-410 exam, you are absolutely in the right place. Today we're taking a really structured, step-by-step approach to one of the most critical topics on the entire syllabus. We're talking about architecting data models in Dataverse. Now, I want you to think about this process kind of like building a state-of-the-art smart home right from the ground up. I mean, you wouldn't just start throwing up drywall without a blueprint, right? In the exact same way, building a data model means we've got to lay a solid foundation, frame the structural rooms, run the wiring, and then finally install the cutting-edge smart technology that brings the whole house to life. We're going to break down this entire architectural blueprint directly from the official study guide so you are totally prepped for exam day.
Just to put things into perspective, take a look at the stakes here. The AB-410 exam is broken down into three main domains, and the one we're diving into today, creating a foundation for intelligent applications, makes up a massive 25 to 30% of your overall exam score. That is a huge chunk. It basically proves that Microsoft isn't just testing if you know how to build an app. They really want to make sure you know how to structure the underlying data environment properly. Because honestly, if you don't nail this foundation, the rest of the application logic, it's just not going to stand up.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the AB-410 exam foundation. Then, architecting standard tables, followed by columns and relationships. After that, we hit AI-powered data models, shaping user experience, and finally, securing your Dataverse.
All right, Section 1, the AB-410 exam foundation, preparing for the blueprint.
So, before we lay a single physical brick in our Dataverse environment, we really need to understand this direct quote from the official exam guide. It says, "Create a foundation for intelligent applications." Now, I really want to draw your attention to that word intelligent. The focus here isn't just about basic data storage anymore. We're not just building some dusty old filing cabinet. The exam explicitly tests your ability to prep the Dataverse environment for AI. Every single table, every column, and every relationship you build needs to be constructed with modern AI-enabled tools in mind.
Moving on to Section 2, architecting standard tables, framing the rooms.
Think of creating tables exactly like framing the structural rooms of a house. These tables define the boundaries and the actual purpose of the data that's going to live inside them. The syllabus outlines a really clear chronological path for this. Step 1, create and edit tables right there in the data workspace. Step 2, configure table properties. Step 3 is creating and modifying the columns within those tables. And Step 4 is configuring the relationships between them. If you can master this exact four-step flow, you've pretty much mentally mapped out exactly what the AB-410 exam expects you to know about the physical structure of your data.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how configuring table properties literally dictates how the entire room functions. Think of table properties as the load-bearing walls of your architecture. When you configure these, you are setting the structural constraints. You're deciding things like if the table will support attachments, if it can be taken offline, or exactly how it's going to handle auditing. On the exam, you definitely need to know how these property toggles fundamentally change the behavior of your standard tables.
Section 3, columns and relationships, running the wiring.
Okay, once the rooms are framed, we've got to run the wiring to make sure everything connects. The study guide specifically requires you to know how to create standard columns, modify existing columns, and seamlessly map and configure table relationships. If standard tables are the rooms, columns are the specific pieces of furniture inside them holding your data. And the relationships? Well, that's the electrical wiring running through the walls. Mastering column modification and configuring robust table relationships ensures that data flows properly and efficiently from one room to the next, completely avoiding any short circuits in your application.
Section 4, AI-powered data models, installing the smart tech.
And this brilliantly illustrates what is probably the most critical differentiator for the AB-410 exam. We've built the house, we've run the wires, and now we're seeing the massive leap from traditional data models to generative AI architecture. On one side, we have standard columns. You know these. They're your traditional static data storage bins for text, numbers, dates, the usual stuff. But then we have prompt columns. This represents dynamic, AI-generated data capabilities. The exam absolutely expects you to know not just how to store static information, but how to configure Dataverse to actively generate and interact with data.
Let's lock this definition down for the test. Prompt columns are Dataverse columns configured specifically to leverage AI and natural language to dynamically generate and store content.
So instead of a user manually typing out a description, a prompt column can actually automatically generate that text based on other data in your environment. It essentially saves you from the mind-numbing task of manual data entry. As a candidate, you must know how to configure these prompt columns to bring that generative AI power directly into the data model layer.
Which naturally brings us to another major exam requirement, rows summaries. This is an intelligent configuration that uses AI to take complex, multi-column row data and distill it right down into concise, highly readable insights. Just imagine a single record with 30 different columns of sales data, notes, statuses, the whole shebang. Configuring a row summary allows AI to instantly digest all of that information and provide a quick, plain language summary for the end user. Knowing how to configure this specific capability drastically enhances the overall value of your underlying data model.
Section 5. Shaping User Experience. Adding windows and doors.
Now, a smart home isn't very useful if no one can actually see inside or walk through the rooms, right? According to the syllabus, building a data model is not completely finished until you've configured the user experience components. Specifically, the exam highlights two primary configurations you have to master here: configuring public views and configuring main forms.
Let's break down their distinct purposes, because the exam is going to test your understanding of exactly how users interface with your standard tables. Public views are configured for viewing lists of data records. Think of them as the big, wide windows looking into your database. They allow users to sort, filter, and see a ton of records all at once. Main forms, on the other hand, are configured for interacting with individual data rows. This is the door users walk through when they want to enter a specific room, look at a single record in detail, and update its specific columns. You absolutely need to know how to construct both to pass this section.
Section 6. Securing your Dataverse. Installing the alarm system. So the crucial point is, we have a fully built, beautifully framed, AI-powered smart home. But before we hand over the keys, we have got to install the alarm system. The study guide explicitly lists configuring security right alongside building tables and columns. You need to understand how role-based security, column-level security, and business unit access ensure that all this amazing intelligent data you've structured is actually protected from unauthorized access. Make no mistake, if the alarm system isn't configured, your blueprint just isn't finished.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with a pivotal question to test your mental map as you continue studying. How will you configure prompt columns and row summaries to transform a basic data model into a truly intelligent foundation? Really think about that structural transition from static storage to dynamic AI generation. Mastering that shift is absolutely the key to conquering the AB-410 exam. Keep reviewing those table properties, lock in your understanding of relationships, and I know for sure you'll be ready to architect an incredible Dataverse solution. Happy studying!